Welcome to your weekly update with me on the Homestead. And just a reminder to you that I vlog daily at fromthefield.tv. So if you want to see what's going on daily on the Homestead, you can check it out there. You can sign up for 7 days free if you're interested. And if you don't like it, you can cancel, no problem. So that's where I post everything. So this is the second week that I have been by myself here on the Homestead. So some things changed on the Homestead. Some new people coming, some people left, and you know, life happens. So things are always changing. That's the only constant that we can rely on these days, is that things are always changing. So anyways, I've been by myself, and so things have really slowed down, but it's been really nice to work by myself because my kids are with me, and I can often incorporate them into something that I'm doing, and it's kind of what homesteading is all about, really. So I've just been working on this greenhouse all week, and this greenhouse has taken a long time to get to this point because everything up until the latest part, which is the bows that you're seeing now, has taken a really long time. And when you get to the stage where you can put the bows on, it all happens very quickly. I just started this today. So I got all these bows cut, screwed together, holes for trellis wires drilled, and now I'm starting to mount up my hip boards and toe kick boards, and then from there I will be putting in my ridge poles and then putting on the poly, but not today because it's too windy. It's been windy all day, and I was hoping this would be a perfect day for doing a greenhouse, which it has been. Actually, it's been rainy a bit here and there, but it's been okay. But there was a lot of work to do before the plastic goes up anyway, so it's taken quite a while to get to this point. So this week was literally just me doing this. So last time, I think on our last weekly update, I had just finished possibly the hydronics. I think we'd had the hydronic floor done with packed sand. And then from there, I started to bring in the raised beds, and I brought them in with my skid steer, just lifting them up. They were pre-built, and then just lifting them up, hanging from the forks, dropping them down, backing away, and then I just tip them over and shuffle them into place. So that took quite a while to get all of those in here. And then from there was almost about a full day spent leveling these beds. So getting them on the ground, taking my level, I started at the back, so I got these beds in first. These are two 16-foot beds, and then these are two 12-foot beds. But these, making sure each bed is level, and a lot of adjusting and level all the way down, and then the beds level with each other and level with each other all the way down, and so on and so forth. So a lot of time was spent doing that. And then of course from there, the next big time spend was getting the soil into these greenhouses. Now this was no easy task because one, I had to mine all this soil myself with my machinery, with my skid steer and my Mini X here on the property. And then I screened it, and the soil was so full of roots and rocks that it often had to go through 3 times the screener. And then I had to stage that material up over here. So bringing the skid steer all the way around, I've built a ramp where the mini excavator is right now, and the skid steer would come and drop the pile, and then the Mini X would come over the back, and then it would grab with the cleanup bucket, grab the soil and dump it into the beds. And so that was more than a day's of work to do all that. And once I had, so kind of what I did was when I had the soil in the beds, there's a couple things I would do afterwards. So I would fill the beds to about 80 or 90%. and then I'd kind of rake it flat, and then I'd hydropack it. So I would just take a watering wand and just water heavily on the soil so that it sinks down, and it almost gets a bit muddy too. But the idea here with hydropacking is that I can save myself these beds settling too much in the first year if I just hydropack most of the soil right out of the gate, because hydropacking happens naturally when you're irrigating your beds and just things are growing in them over time. They just pack down. So if you pack it with water first, these will drop down to less of a degree now that I've packed it. So I hydropack them. Then once that settles, I throw some fertilizer on there. I was using a 444, Gaia Green. It's a certified organic fertilizer that's made with all kinds of stuff, good stuff. And get the fertilizer in, then just finish with a top 1 or 2 inches of soil, and don't hydropack that stuff, and then just rake that nice and flat to give me a nice clean bed surface. And now we're essentially ready to plant. But I'm gonna get this greenhouse finished first because the weather is still a little bit erratic. So this is going to be mostly tomatoes. This will be all tomatoes and peppers right now. In this greenhouse, I've got these, I mentioned this, that I've got these drill holes here. This is gonna be for aircraft cable that will go through, and there's a hole here, and then there's a hole there. And what it works out to be is, if you drop a plumb line from where those cables are, it's 6 inches off the end of each bed. And so this bed, for example, I'll have tomatoes trellised in this row on the backside, because this is southeast this way. Row of tomatoes here, and then a row of peppers here, possibly 2, just crisscrossed. And then it'll be the same in this bed, tomatoes on this side, peppers on this side, and then this bed, so on and so forth, same thing. And the neat thing about this bed is, you might say, well, if you're putting your tomatoes here and they're growing up this way, how are you going to access the peppers when the bed is right up against the wall? Well, the way I'll do it is I'll go right out here and I'll open the roll up side and I'll harvest from here. These peppers, most of these tomatoes and peppers will be out of this greenhouse before winter. I'll probably interplant some crops in the understory of the tomatoes late in the summer, and I've done that on the farm for years, so I don't have to worry about maintaining crops from the outside of a greenhouse in the winter. It's just for the summertime. So yeah, that's really where we're at right now with this guy. I've got a lot of drilling and bolting to do to get all these hip boards in, channel lock on the hip boards and toe kick boards, ridge poles, channel lock on the outside bows. So I'm planning to get all that done the rest of the day and a bit of the weekend, and then hopefully have this planted out by the weekend, because my tomatoes and peppers are absolutely desperate to get into soil. They've been in the nursery far too long. But you know what? It hasn't been that bad because the weather has been so cool that they haven't grown all that fast anyways. So it's been a lot of cloudy days, so it's actually been okay. But they are eager to get in the ground. And so, yeah, by the time you guys come back next week, we'll have a lot more planted out. Actually, what we're planning to do too is plant the garden out this weekend. We'll be planting potatoes, carrots, and onions, and maybe a few other things. But it's the first year it's the latest I've ever planted this year. I've never in my life of gardening and homesteading and farming waited till the end of May to plant out crops in the field. So yeah, that's what it looks like here this week, folks. Just a quick reminder before we wrap this one up, folks, if you are interested in taking the microgreens course with Jonah Kroc-Malnick, there's a 50% offer that runs until the end of May. So after, I think it's midnight May 31st is the end of that offer. So there'll be a link somewhere in this video if you want to go check that out. This course is, we've rebuilt the microgreens course with new content, and a guy who's just absolutely crushing it, doing $700,000 a year doing microgreens. Yes, that's what I said, $700,000 a year in sales. So if you want to check that out, link will be somewhere around this video. And yeah, If you aren't subscribed to the channel, subscribe now, hit the like button, and we'll see you in the next one.